Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. I just want to say that immediately. Thank you so much for watching the first episode. That was really good. And if you're wondering, this is one of my favorite cups. It's me, with me, with me, with me, with me. It was like from a live stream. Someone like made it as a joke in like a picture, and then my girlfriend bought the cup that had the picture on it. So it was really funny, and it's still funny. Okay. Today we're gonna watch the part 2. Every Warhammer. Oh, here. Let's see. Every single Warhammer 40k faction explained part 2 from 𝗦cie. And the part 1 was really good. I was just like living myself into like the universe, and I was enjoying every part of it. So I think I'm gonna enjoy this one as well. I know I'm gonna enjoy this one, and I hope you enjoy it as well, like with me. Also, if you are interested in giving me like feedback or tips, or just want to talk about lore and stuff like that, then I would really recommend heading into my Discord. I created some new Warhammer channels where we can talk about Warhammer. So we got the general channel, lore channel, react videos. Here I share the list of all the videos I'm planning to react to when it comes to Warhammer. But I'm looking for feedback on what I should watch first and last and stuff like that, because I'm not sure. Like, I'm such a noob here. I don't know anything, guys. I don't know anything. I know what is said in part 1 though. And part 1 was fantastic. I felt like I learned so much. I got to know a lot of the factions, and there's just like facts upon facts upon facts that are just like mind-blowing. Okay, enough talking, baby. Let's watch this video. Thank you so much. Oh my god.
Hey all, this is part 2 in a 2-part series on
Hype! I'm sorry, I'm just so hyped. It's part 2, guys.
The Warhammer races.
Hell yeah.
If you haven't seen part 1 yet, we do the Imperial Command. You can check that out in the description, and I would highly recommend you watch that to get context for this episode. If you already have, go ahead and keep on watching. So after an entire episode of nothing but humans, we can now talk about chaos, which involves...
That guy looks insane. What the hell is that? Connections, wires to his brain from in there, and it's like a big jaw under here. And the eyes, man, all of the eyes. Do they have some special meaning as well, the eyes there? Oh my god. He has a claw. He's angry in the face. There's just so many things here. It's fantastic.
Humans
this is
again.
chaos.
But a little bit less, we also got demons and shit.
Are we gonna talk about demons today? In the previous one, it was mostly humans or like variants of humans, right? I feel like the mechanoids. Was it mechanoids? Butchering that probably. But yeah, it was them, and it was the assassins. It was the inquisitors. It was the yeah, it was a lot of human variants. Something that really stuck to my mind was that they were dropping churches, just like the ladies. Don't remember what their names are. Fudge. It's like the ladies of something. That is like, yeah. Remove all the heresy. That is their goal, though.
Grab my ass. What? Like hard, Nick.
So, as I've mentioned many times before, we've discussed the warp, the immaterium, the hellish landscape, the purgatory dimension realm between the material realm of our existence. Now, in the warp, it's terrifying, horrible. There are demons everywhere. Things are crazy. All your minds and thoughts and emotions get projected there. It is both formless and empty. It is vast and tiny. It obeys the laws of time and physics while simultaneously does absolutely nothing of the sort.
What? It's like just the opposites all the time. It's very confusing. But I guess it's like almost thinking about like a black hole or something. It's just like, what is it? It's everything, it's nothing. It's very like mind-bending and like, I would say mind-fucking. I tried to bleep myself there because I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do the bleep in the edits. But anyway, that is mindfuck. Oh, I said it now. But anyway, that is crazy. And the demons are there. Is that where they are? Chaos demons.
Hodgepodge and a culmination of just unknown.
By the way, I'm really sorry if you can like hear screaming in the background. It's just my daughter, and we're filming this in a weekend. So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I hope it's gonna go okay for you guys. I love you guys.
Global, eldritch, horrifying shit. And there are 4 gods that permeate in chaos, and the warp. These are the 4 major chaos gods.
Wow.
And if we wish to learn about chaos, we need to learn about each and every single one of these chaos gods. First up, we have Khorne, and he is the easiest. Khorne is your classic Satan. He is all about anger.
He does look like a devil, like Satan, basically. I said it in the part 1 as well, but he looks kind of like Diabolos or something, but just more epic.
Murder, fighting, blood, guts, death. You ever heard the term blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne? That's Khorne. The whole idea is that he is all about the fury and strength of battle. He doesn't care where blood comes from, so long as blood is flowing.
Question for you guys that know everything. I'm very curious. Does these gods actually go out in battle anytime, or is it more like a I'm not sure how to say it, but more like a principle, or more like how they are just perceived or whatever, but they're mostly just sitting there on their thrones or in their rooms or whatever. Is there like in the lore, do they like go out and like the Space Marines or like some other factions has to like fight the actual gods themselves? Or are they in the background just cheering on their troops? Because I feel like that would be some of the most epic battles ever in history. In this history and all the histories. Because they look epic. And how big is that guy? Are we talking like a skyscraper kind of high? Or is it like double the size of a Space Marine? Because that has a lot, or like that means a lot to me. How big he is, you know? Because I feel like it would be so epic if it was like basically just almost could reach to the sky if he was walking on like a planet.
He wants to fight and murder and carnage and slaughter and death. That is Khorne. Whoa. Very simple to understand. Next up, you have 𝗦ci, and 𝗦ci is the god of change. However, the god of change, it permeates in so many different other ways. He's the most eldritch of all the demon gods. He has this weird way to always be plucking at the strings of the universe. He's always conniving and scheming and doing his best to cause as much little bullshit as he can. 𝗦ci is unknowable. Everything that makes sense, he will and won't do. Every future and setting and every type of destiny or fate is all foretold and also changeable. It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what everything is going to happen and also that none of it's going to happen.
That is so mindfucking, so cool at the same time. And like, what is going on with his face there? Look at those like things on his head. Is that his eyes? But it's also like, it looks like in the sea when he have like these little wormy kind of things. I don't know, but it looks insane. And he has a tongue in his like belly. This is just so wild. And he knows everything, but knows nothing almost. He's Jon Snow. It is very fascinating, and he can change what is gonna happen in reality. Shouldn't that make him like the most powerful? Maybe, I don't know. That is just wild.
It is set in stone while also completely random. He knows what everything is going to happen and also that none of it's going to happen.
It's a troll.
You would ask 𝗦ci a question. And that question leads to 3 more questions. And those questions lead to the heat death of the universe, which asks 4 answers to those questions. And then he thinks to himself, what are questions even really? And are you even asking the questions? Or are you simply giving paths to answers and other horse shit?
Holy shit. I think this guy doesn't have any friends. This 𝗦ci. Because it would have been impossible to have a chat with him. He's just the biggest troll in the universe, I think. But he's very interesting though. I appreciate him existing.
𝗦ci is just, I'm gonna fuck with stuff. He is yes and he is no. He is the understanding and he is complexity. He is unknowable, and that's what the God of Change is about. Very bizarre, and he likes birds a lot.
Whoa.
I don't know why.
What?
Next up we got...
That bird? What the hell? Is that the word? Whoa. That bird is just like... What the hell? That is freaky to watch. That is very freaky to watch.
Sorry, and he likes birds a lot.
They exist?
I don't know why. Next up, we got Papa Nurgle. Papa Nurgle, he loves you for who you are. Probably not. He will murder you just the same. But Papa Nurgle is about rot, pestilence, death, and decay. He is the end of everything. Him and 𝗦ci do not like each other very much because where 𝗦ci represents change and adjustment, Nurgle represents stagnation and death. He is all about miasma and pestilence.
Is this another artwork of the same one? Because this is just so gruesome. Even his sword is so dirty. I think you would have gotten like a pestilence just by like looking at that sword almost. That is just wild. And all of the spikes. It's probably poison in all of the spikes, man. And the eyes, just like one center one and then like 4 around there. Ugh, even his teeth are just screwed up, man. They're not even straight. They're just like... Ugh. Oh. What the hell?
And large bloat and pus and organs and people just being sedentary, sloth. He is the idea that everything will rot and decay and die. Nothing is certain besides decay and death. All of us will end up the same way. And broken down to just sheer, never-ending decomposition.
Looks
wild. The joke that Nurgle always loves you is generally because of that. Because we all end up the same. We all rot. And we all die and wither.
Well, I guess he has a point though, right? It does happen. Except like, I guess, Space Marines, they can live for a very long time, right? But maybe they rot one day as well. Maybe. But all of the horns, though, and the eyes, it's just like, ugh.
That's Nurgle. And
so cool,
he's got a general theme of course, pestilence and different kinds of diseases and sickness and things of that nature. That's generally Nurgle. He's pretty easy to understand as well.
Yeah.
And he chunk! Finally, we have the youngest of the Chaos Gods, and that is 𝗦cie, also known as the Prince of Pleasure.
Oh my god, I had to like, yeah, and then he also did his own boobs. Yeah. Smart. You're smart, man. You're smart.
Or the god of unspeakable excess. 𝗦cie is generally referred to with sex, but it's not only sex, it's just that's a good avenue if you want to make stuff. 𝗦cie is just the idea of the senses of the body being cranked to not just 11, but more like 17. See, we'll discuss 𝗦cie a little bit more when we talk about the Eldar, because they done fucked up, but it or whatever is mainly about just the excess of emotions. And
whoa, so there are some gruesome artwork of this thing as well. Appreciate that. Everything has to be a little bit gruesome in Warhammer. Look at this, just like leaking off his skin, just like ugh.
Therefore, sex is generally a large part of it. However, it's mostly pain and torture. Lots of pain, torture, but sometimes sexually related, or drug.
But isn't like pain and pleasure pretty like close in the brain or something? I've heard that. It might be a lie. You can like address that if you want to. But yeah, I think it's something like that.
Related. Lots of drugs. Lots of drugs.
Lots of drugs?
𝗦cie gets off on everything. Extremes in happiness, extremes in sadness, extremes in pain and sadism and masochism. And of course that goes along with the sex part of it as well. It's generally referred to with sex because of the color scheme, very purple, lots of exposed genitalia. A lot of their models have like exposed nipples and stuff. And that is generally the theme you go for from the physical side, but it really embodies everything. Mainly pain and also the excessive amounts of emotion. So when it comes down to it, you'll find a lot of them have things like spikes or whips or any kind of BDSM style gear because it is unspeakable excess, the Prince of Pleasure. Everything in excess to the point where it is just sheer frightening. That is 𝗦cie in a nutshell. A little bit bizarre and a little hard to describe sometimes, but as we talk more about the Dark Eldar later in this video, you'll understand it far, far better and far more than you'd want to. Now you might be thinking, why would anyone ever want to join Chaos? They all look horrifying, screwed up, and just frightening things, right?
True.
Well, the thing is that, of course, one, your mind is put into the warp and the 𝗦ci𝗰𝗋, so you can be easily swayed by chaos demons when they get into your head, especially if you're a psyker. Sometimes regiments of the less mentally strong people, whether they be civilians or, say, low-level guardsmen or conscripts, can be easily swayed by this and become chaos cultists and stuff, and they serve their dark gods and whatever god they personally refer However, and this might seem strange, chaos in their own right isn't necessarily evil. See, the warp is...
But yeah, it's like that with almost everything. Like, I feel like Warhammer is like changing my mind a little bit, because I feel like in the normal world, we're very like... it's like pretty strong opinions of what is like good, bad, and who is good, bad, and stuff like that. And you have like very good people, you have very bad people. But here, as I understand it, everyone is kind of good and everyone is kind of bad. Or like everyone is bad, but everyone is also at the same time kind of good, because they're good for themselves, I guess. And I have said before that everyone in Warhammer is bad. And someone said in the comments that that is not the case. Like... it's kinda difficult, and I feel like that is the thing with Warhammer though. It's not straightforward, and I like that. I like a challenge, but it makes sense that like some of the people, or like the different other factions, some of the troops there can be persuaded over to this side, because they can mindfuck them, right? And also, there are good things about everything, probably. If you like BDSM, why not have the most insane BDSM ever? That is almost like, yes, that is scary. Or if you like murdering, maybe go with, is it Corn? Con. Maybe go with him, and then you can murder all day. It's like pros and cons, man. Depends on what you like.
Every manifestation of emotion and being, every soul, everything of existence. This includes all the good things. All the different chaos gods have another side to their coin.
Yeah.
Khorne might be death, murder, slaughter, slaughter, but he's also got this weird sense of survival of the fittest, trial by combat, and honor. Khorne will never lie to you. Khorne will never stab you in the back. Khorne isn't about conniving and scheming. Khorne is
like insanely straightforward. He's saying it as it is. And I can see like the allure there for maybe a space marine that is like very strong-willed. He is tired of all the bullshit of people just like lying to him and shit. So he's just like, let's go, Khorne. Let's go.
About straight up mano-y-mano, you versus me, get in the ring, we're gonna murder each other hard right now. It may not be a good thing at the end of the day, but it is that other side of the coin. Him and 𝗦cie generally don't get along, because 𝗦cie is that conniving schemer, but he's also about the idea of hope. Where there is change for your predicament. There is change for your problem. The hope of the galaxy, the ability to bend the world to your will, the idea that your fate is not set in stone, but in reality that you control your own destiny and can control it whenever you want, the changer of ways. That is 𝗦cie. And of course, 𝗦cie and Nurgle hate each other, because while Nurgle does represent stagnation, death, and decay, he also represents finality. An ending. The fact that you can be mentally at peace knowing that you will...
I feel like I can see like the allure of each of them, like or why like someone could be like persuaded over there in their personal situation, that what they are like preaching here is like very appealing. Like, yes. I need change in my life. It's just too awful for me. If I don't change, I'm just gonna die. And then you maybe go to the 𝗦cie or this guy, Nurgle. Like, oh, I'm so tired. I just need to like end it or whatever. And then you go to Nurgle. You're just like, let's end it. Or if you just want everything to end, maybe. I don't know.
And how you will end. Fear of the unknown, fear of change is not present with Nurgle. With Nurgle, everything will rot and die, and that provides that finality.
It's almost like being a monk, man. It's like you can find some ease in your life if you just go with Nurgle, you know? I'm sorry to all monks out there. I don't mean to call you Nurgles. But you know what I mean, maybe?
Ability that this is over. We are all the same, and we will all end the same. We know the meaning of life. The meaning of life is to live and die and rot. And with that, it brings peace of mind. Slaanesh is a lot more simple. While they are the excess of emotion, they are also the representation of emotion. Slaanesh embodies happiness. 𝗦cie embodies excitement and joy and pleasure, not only in the sense of the physical, you know, bam style of pleasure, but also everything else like food and drink and air on your cheek and sunlight.
This is like the easiest one to get converted over to then. Not because of just sex, but like as he says, like all the emotions that are good, if you can like 10x them. And then you could like pretty easily probably persuade other people to join you. It's just like, is it sirens or something in those that comes out of the water and just like, woo, they sing to you? I think it's kind of similar.
Feeling, emotion and feeling, all of that is also represented with 𝗦cie. So you have to ask, why are they always represented as super evil skulls and spikes on everything and want to murder everybody? I don't really got an answer for you on that one. My assumption is that because mentally humans may think worse thoughts even if we don't act on them, and therefore they're projected in the warp more. That one's a little bit weird. I don't know. This is me spitballing right now, but I don't know. You need a super bad guy. You already got the Imperium of Man. You need somebody to be a little bit worse than them. So you got demons. Honestly,
yeah, it's like everything is so horrible. So if we're gonna have a chaos god or demon, we need to 10x that. We need to make it even more horrible. And yeah, it makes sense. But they could just as well probably be the nicest ever, probably, right? I don't know.
Who cares? I just want to buy like a bird magician. Look at him. So cool.
They look
so combining
insane.
all this together, on the tabletop, Chaos Demons are generally very melee-based. They run in, go really hard. You have lots of summoning and conjuring.
Oh, it's so... I'm not sure how to like explain myself here, but I've been watching or like looking at so much of the other side now, of the humans and human like variants, that it was insanely cool and refreshing and mind-blowing to see this, to see like the other side here, to see the demons, to see what they're riding, to see how they are like constructed, the colors, the everything, who's over there, he's probably gonna say. And these like flying things, it's just so cool. These have like mouths in the middle of their like body. That is just wild. And these things, oh my god, look at those, they're really cool. The green ones over to the right there, it's just so cool. That is like, it's diversity, guys. Wow. Give me more. Give me more.
Spells, generally a little bit frail, but they have special saves to make them a little bit stronger. You've got giant demons and smaller demons. You got hordes of little boys and tons of big guys. Demons are as they seem. Demons. Nurgle is slow. Khorne is super scary in melee. You've got 𝗦cie, who are far more into psychers and spellcasting, and then 𝗦cie, who is all melee, really fast but squishy, but in lots of hordes of tons of melee and pain damage,
Whips.
of course. So overall, the demons are a huge part of 40k and a massive threat to almost every single faction, with the exception of a couple. However, the big part about demons is also transferred into the other 9 Primarchs we didn't talk about, which are the Chaos Space Marines.
Ah, that is so cool. I love it. 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 It's so hard to like express how much I love this. It's very cool to see like the humans and the Space Marines that are like humans, kinda. I guess these could be humans as well. I don't know. But the Demon Space Marines, that is just... oh my god. You gotta appreciate the bad guy, man. And also, it's so much creativity, and we're pretty used to seeing a human face, you know. But I'm not used to seeing this insane face. Wow, and this one, wow. It's gonna be so much wow in this video. The music, though.
So Horse and all of his boys, all of them in the Primarchs, they have all also become Chaos Boys, and they all have their own special Chaos Legions, specializing in so many different things, just like the Adeptus Astartes, the Angels of Death, the regular Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines aren't a whole lot different than the regular Space Marines. They have the same armor, generally the same training and toughness. They just specialize in different kinds of things. And also a lot of the Primarchs have ascended into greater is it greater demons? They're demon Primarchs at this point. Gigantic, horrifying man-demon hybrids that are pretty awesome, if I'm gonna be honest.
And here's this guy again. Someone mentioned in the comments about this guy. And thank you so much for giving me that information. But This is the world eater, right? Oh my god, I just love that so much, and it's so cool that there are, like, as he says, like greater demons or greater, like, Primarchs or whatever. That is so cool. That is so cool. I love this. I love this. Just give me more. Just give it to me. Oh my god.
They look really, really cool. But them and their associated legions that they are a part of are all kind of going out there and causing a large ruckus for everyone else. Considering the raw strength and firepower of a legion of Space Marines, imagine that entire legion just converting to chaos and immediately fighting you. It's generally pretty horrifying. There's a lot of them, so I gotta write them down. But you've got the Emperor's Children with Primarch.
Look at that face. That face is ugly, man. And it's a horrifying. It's actually horrifying. I'm gonna say horrifying here. The teeth, the, like, here, and the eye, and everything. It's horrifying.
Fulgrim, loyal to 𝗦cie. These people, they are some messed up people. They're just sensory overload, tons of drugs, tons of torture. And I think Fulgrim is a demon Primarch right now, and oh god, I am terrified to see what that man looks like. At least on the tabletop, because Emperor's Children are not good people. You've got the Iron Warriors, which are kind of like opposite of the Imperial Fists, with Primarch 𝗦cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, I believe is his name.
Wow.
They're Chaos Undivided. They just kind of serve chaos in a general aspect instead of choosing one of the four. But the Iron Warriors are big on the siege and fortification, and they're basically entirely against the Imperial Fists and are a major rival.
I got goosebumps over my entire body. This is insane. This is wild. Thank you.
𝗦cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, I believe, is also still alive, and I'm also very interested to see what he looks like.
What?
Demon Primarchs are badass. You've got the Night Lords with Primarch Konrad Curze. Konrad Curze is dead, which is good because he's a sick fuck. But the Night Lords are generally about terror, terrorizing people, and terrorism. They're generally about fear, and rightly so. You've got the World Eaters with Primarch Angron, still alive, also excited to see. Angron. If you think you've known an angry person, Angron is the angriest son of a bitch you will ever know. Angron removed parts of his brain that didn't make him angry, so he could be angrier.
No.
Angron. Fucker's mad.
Angron. That is fucked up. That is next level.
You've got the Death Guard with Primarch 𝗦𝗫𝗀.
Cool.
They actually have their own special codex and their own major army on the tabletop. 𝗦𝗫𝗀 himself is actually one of the models, and look at him. Look at him. It's so cool looking. Of course, Nurgle based, obviously.
Yeah.
So very slow, but very tanky. You've got the Word Bearers with Primarch 𝗦𝗏𝗏r. 𝗦𝗏𝗏r is, I believe, still alive. I don't know what's up with him at the current moment, but the Word Bearers are generally the people who caused all the major problems in the beginning.
Wow.
At least I blame them for it. They're little assholes. You got the Black Legion with Primarch 𝗏orus. Get fucked, nerd. You've got the Alpha Legion with Primarch 𝗦𝗡arius_Omegon. Chaos, I think. And then finally, you've got the Thousand Sons with Primarch Magnus the Nerd. Thousand Sons also have their own...
Magnus the Nerd? Is that real? Is that real? Is he figuring things... Is he just making things up here? Magnus the Nerd? That is awesome.
Own book, just like the Death Guard. Magnus is also a tabletop model. He looks super cool, as you can tell.
He looks epic. Imagine having that one in your, like, glass, like... closet. That is not right, but you know what I mean. Oh my god, it looks insanely cool.
And they're all super heavily Psyker and kind of Egyptian themed. They look pretty neat. But overall, with all of these Chaos Space Marine factions, you can play as a lot of different ones, but the main ones that you can really work at are standard Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, as well as the Death Guard and Thousand Sons, as they are the most fleshed out, especially on the tabletop at least. See this right here? This is a really good way to describe the Chaos Space Marines. What the thick-headed fools with their broken corpse of an emperor fail to understand is that not only can they never defeat us, but they cannot hide or flee or shield themselves from the triumph of chaos. They are finite and we are unbound, undivided. They must not err, or they shall fall to heresy. All who fall join our cause. Every imperial fool who dares to open his eyes is a willing recruit. They strive merely to hold back our fury and might, and it consumes them. Thus, you can see chaos is inevitable. We lurk not only beyond their grasp and at their gates, we lurk within the darkness of their souls, on the tip of their tongues, in their tortured dreams. We are them, but freed from the shackles of ignorance. We are them, grown strong, evolved. We are them, but so much more. As hard
Whoa, but it is like a good point though. It's very interesting. It's almost like the real world, you know, when like cold is just like the lack of warmth. Isn't that the thing? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a thing, or that is correct. And I feel like it's the kind of the same here. If you follow me, where like chaos is basically, or let's see. Being not part of chaos is basically heat, and you have to work on heat, and if you like lose that heat, you just fall into chaos. So being on the chaos side, it's like the default almost, and you have to work to not be on chaos, and that makes chaos really strong, because if you slip up, as they say, you are chaos. And that is just wild. It's not like if chaos slips up, they become good guys. It's not like that. And that is, wow. That makes it even cooler. And it's the constant battle, I guess. And it is, yeah. It has so many parallels to like the real world, where you have to work on feeling good. You have to work on being good. And if you don't do that, you can turn into a dick or an asshole or a criminal or something else. You have to like work. You don't necessarily need to work, but you have to work on yourself. I guess this is getting a little bit real in the real world here, but it's very interesting and wow.
Hardcore as that quote is, the saddest part is they're mostly right. Chaos is basically unkillable. You could probably get rid of Space Marines, a decent amount, the Chaos Space Marines that is, but every soul that dies goes to the warp. Every Chaos soul will end up back in the warp. And depending on how hard you killed them, they will come back at some point. Every demon you banish will return at some point.
Shit.
Chaos is unstoppable. The warp is unending. And while maybe there is at some point some way to stop them somehow, the resources to do so, the requirements to do so, are so far beyond the reaches of man and the other races at the current moment that really it's just an unstoppable force that just keeps on coming.
Whoa, that is very interesting. Question to you masterminds out there. Is it like, okay, how can I formulate this? Has it always been like this? Has it always been in the Warhammer universe where chaos was a part of it? Or was it like a time before they knew about chaos? Let's just imagine that it's the real world right now, where it's like talks about hell and it's talks about like gods and stuff like that. But we don't know. We don't know nothing. But here, they do know. They do know because they are experiencing the demons. They're experiencing the warp. They know a lot, or they have like not only knowledge, but they live it, you know? But was it a time here in Warhammer where it was like innocent, you know? I'm just asking for a friend. Thank you in advance.
And it's just barely being slowed. Chaos is by far the biggest threat. They are without number, their legions are everywhere, and yeah, they're pretty scary. So, I promise, we're done with humans now. Let's talk about some Xenos.
Xenos, the Eldar, okay? Xenos, not humans. Looks human, but not human. What are they? I'm interested. The Eldar. I've heard
So let's talk about the Eldar, or also known as the Eldari, which are a super hyper specialized and very technologically advanced race of, well, elf people. They were as well responsible for the creation of Slaanesh, the newest demon god.
Whoa.
How they do that? Debauchery on a world-ending scale. See, back in the day, it was just...
What? Well, I need to recap here my brain. Need to store it. Need to do some storage on my hard drive here. So, the Eldar are elf people. I'm sorry. And they're really highly, high technology people, and they created another god another chaos god? They created a chaos god? Whoa, is that, I'm just gonna guess here, and then we're gonna get the answer probably, but is it because they made something so highly advanced, so highly like technological, so like futuristic and big, and added that into a person or something, and then it turned out that that person got so high, not IQ, but you know what I mean? And then it was like, shit, I don't like these elf people or the human people or anyone else here, so I'm just gonna go to chaos, man. Or maybe these guys like converted that being that the elf people created, the Eldar. I'm just guessing here, guessing for a friend. Wow, this is wild. I'm so glad that you guys are like helping me into the Warhammer universe. Thank you so much. Check out my Discord, by the way. Link is in the description to like talk more about Warhammer. Yes, and like and subscribe. I'm gonna say this here, like super far into the video, just in case you want to, and it would be like a great help. I'm trying to like work myself into being able to do this even more, you know. So support, I appreciate. If you don't support, I appreciate you even then. I support you a lot. Thank you very much.
𝗦cie and Nurgle. And the Eldar are very, very ancient, millions of years. These Eldar, however, have a bit of a sensory problem. You know, every kind of pain or feeling that you have is a little bit amplified compared to the normal. However, with Eldar, as their race advanced so excessively, and they became so self-reliant, and everything became so easy, there was no requirement for food production anymore, there was no shortages, everything was basically done. Everyone was so comfortable, and that comfort breeded this weird sedation, and that sedation breeded the requirement for more and more debauchery.
Debauchery!
What?
Debauchery!
Debauchery!
When everything you have can be so easily acquired, you will end up down this road of pure debauchery. All of the senses the Eldar had that were so...
Shit, just give me a second here. Translate. Debauchery. Debauchery. I'm sorry. Utskeielser. Ah, okay. Now I understand. Thank you. Sorry.
So powerful.
Just this Norwegian brain is like very limited. I'm very sorry.
Things like feeling, happiness, sadness, and just evil and good all needed to be satisfied.
I feel, this is getting a little bit personal though, but I feel like I had this this issue, a little bit of this issue. I'm not sure how to explain it well, so I'll just explain it bad. But when you have a stable job, you have a girlfriend that is fantastic, and love is in the air, everything is good, it's very quickly to turn into like someone that is not working that hard on themselves anymore. So I have to like take myself and just like slap myself a little bit and just like, stop it, Ole. Don't only eat candy and nice food and sit on the sofa. You have to like try to work out a little bit, eat decent food, and maybe read some books about like, I don't know, I do read a little bit about like Buddhism or those kind of things, just like evolve my brain a little bit, or like philosophy. That is fantastic. That is really helping me a lot in life. But yeah, it is, my point is, when you have it really good, it is easy to get into debauchery. the word of the day, guys, the word of the day. So I can see that, but I don't think I would turn into like a murderous piece of poop or something by having a good time. But I guess these doesn't just have a good time, they have a good time, and then you turn into a murderous piece of poop.
And satiated, and the desire to satiate these senses grew more and more with worse and worse debauchery. It started off with things like sex and drugs becoming so much more rampant because these are the first things you generally turn to when requirements for living are so easily accessible. it would get to the point that made Sander
is this?
Cohen in BioShock look sane.
Oh.
All right, this is the kind of debauchery it led to. It was constantly satisfying and
Whoa.
satiating these sexual and sadistic or masochistic fantasies that only elevated and elevated. And this was species-wide. People started
Whoa.
going down darker, more depraved, and more violent paths as time went on. However, some people
Holy shit.
didn't entirely take to that. Some of the Eldar were looking at
This is very interesting. It's not like we just get a little bit more of the same here. This is totally different. This is like, it's almost like, okay, you know nothing about Warhammer and here we go. Here's some Warhammer for you. It's like almost starting all over again when we're starting to learn about the Eldar. And that is super cool. That is just showing how vast it is. It's like very fleshed out and thought out. Let's just say that. Wow. And the creativity is peaking here. And I guess like these that didn't take to the debauchery and went all crazy, they did get some. They didn't have such a good time if their like fellow Eldars were starting to go crazy. Then they turned into the problem, and it's easier to not go into debauchery yourself because you have a quest now. You have to like deal with your asshole fellow race mates or whatever. Race mates? That's a new word. It's a good word.
this depraved species that they had become and said, no thanks for me, dog, I'm good. And they bailed. These are the
Hell
craft
yeah.
world Eldar.
Whoa.
They left on these giant
Whoa.
continent-sized starships called craft worlds. They believed in learning the old ways of the Eldar and pushing away from this depravity and debauchery and going back to their main roots. And so they would segment themselves on these giant craft worlds far in the outer reaches of space. They even had this thing called the Webway. Remember what we mentioned about warp travel with the Imperium? Well, the Eldar had something way safer called a Webway. And the Eldar Webway is actually like a pocket dimension kind of thing. And in that pocket dimension, there were also more horrible, depraved groups and clans that would spend their time in there. And if you imagine the debauchery was bad already, these were debauchery X10.
No.
So all
of course you have to say that the crazy you just told me isn't crazy enough. So here you got even more crazy on top of that crazy. Oh my god. So you got the void and like the chaos world, where they can like use the void to time travel with help of the Emperor's carcass that is sitting on the throne. And then you have these, the Webway, the World Wide Webway. And they also have their own issues inside of the web, or maybe it was the web, the pocket, the dimension. And look at this. Is that drugs? Does it got like the drugs there in the veils just directly feed it into his back? Holy shit. And what is it doing with this guy's head? He's just like crushing the skull of this guy. This is just looking wild. Are these orcs? This looks like they come from like some Dark Souls game or something. These here. Oh my god.
this continued
Wild.
and it continued and it bloated until 𝗦cie just burst forth. All that emotion, all that mental, thought processes, I suppose. All of this in such a condensed space. Don't forget, this is all being shot, all their souls as well, into the warp. All this depravity right into the warp. So what happened? Boom. 𝗦cie was birthed and killed off 90% of the entire Eldar population. Untold trillions.
Wait. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Was 𝗦cie, was she created out of all of this debauchery? This like self-pleasuring that they did? She was created by it? Wow. And she murdered 90%? Holy shit. She's pretty strong then. Very strong. I wonder if she murdered them herself or if she like turned them against each other. Just like, just have a little bit more violent sex, and then they ended up killing each other or something. Something wild happened there, I think. There's a story there.
had their souls ripped from their bodies and their actual fleshy bodies devoured by Slaanesh demons. The entirety of the Eldar race was eaten alive and their souls consumed to the Prince of Pleasure. All of them got fucked up. Whoa. It was so bad that it literally ripped a warp hole into the fabric of the materium called the Eye of Terror.
What?
It's literally this like quasi-horrifying gateway portal.
Look at this portal! Look at the faces in the portal. This is just insanely cool, and these ships are shooting in. I just want to see a movie about this, you know? I want to like, if there is gonna be a movie about Warhammer, right? With the guy that played The Witcher, I think, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But there's so much good content that they can make the movie about. Oh!
From the Materium and the Immaterium,
so good.
Right next to Cadia. And it is horrifying. So this Slaanesh, also known as She Who Thirsts by the Eldar, slaughtered the entire
Look at this
population,
artwork.
except for a couple. Those in the craft worlds were actually not affected by this as they were so far in the reaches of the galaxy.
These are not normal spaceships, man. Look at these spaceships. They're insanely cool. I just love that they're not normal spaceships, man. They're like bubbly and nothing makes sense because it's so high-tech, high level. Holy shit, we're at 21 minutes into the video, and I think I've been sitting here looking at it and talking for 45 minutes. This is probably gonna turn into one of those long ones, but I hope it's okay for you guys.
That crazy crack, that birth of Slaanesh only affected the ones in the center. So these Craft World Eldar were able to escape, but Slaanesh got their sights on them. Ooh. Every time an Eldar will die, their soul doesn't just pass into the warp naturally. It goes straight to Slaanesh. Craft World or not. What about those people in the webway? Well, imagine that giant birth happening, but they were only able to just barely get a grasp onto you. Slaanesh was just barely able to hold on.
Whoa.
These people are the Dark Eldar, or also known as the Drukhari. The Eldar population right now is so massively small.
Whoa.
It is minuscule compared to any of the other most of the other populations in the universe. The Eldar are consistently having issues trying to get their population up because as their souls are constantly being hungered from Slaanesh, they realize their entire species is doomed. And they understand it very well. Since the time of the fall, our race has been haunted by what we, in our reckless pursuit of hedonistic indulgence, gave birth to. Though our dreams once overturned worlds and quenched suns, we are now but fitful shadows clinging to the edge of existence. All the stars in the sky cannot blot out the hateful glare of the red moon's eye. The birthing place of the great enemy pulses with all the malice of a demon that is dreaming, casting its shadow over all we have ever done and all we ever shall. Every twisted strand of fate and casting of the runes leads me to this time, to this place, and it is clear that the final battle awaits me at the ancient Crone worlds, a conflict the likes of which has not been seen since the 𝗦ci warred amongst themselves and their corpse of a seer fell to his traitorous son. Is coming, and all my steps lead towards it, no matter that I walk other paths.
Whoa.
I see the stars stained red with the blood of the 𝗦ci, and though their wars do not concern me, I would gladly let them destroy one another. I know that to avoid this fight is to condemn my race to inevitable doom, and though all I see is darkness, I know that I will not flinch from my destiny.
Holy shit.
And now let's talk about cute plastic models.
Woo. Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
The first playable race we have for the Eldar are the Craft World Eldar and living in those Craft World starships I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And each of them have their own kind of Craft World, almost like a Space Marine Legion. Each Craft World is in itself its own special kind of group. And the Eldar themselves are very fast and rely a lot on trickery. They are squishy, a bit weak, but they're very in tune as psychers. Tons of psychers across the entire Eldar population, and their weaponry and abilities are fast and extremely hard-hitting, but of course rather fragile. Understanding an Eldar's brain is an exercise in...
It's almost like a mage, you know? These are the mage classes. For someone that is like a noob like me, they seem like a mage class. Glass cannon, you know? But really strong.
Utility. They are all over the place in confusion and trickery on a whole galactic scale. They fight weird, they think weirder, and Eldar in their own right really...
They fight weird? Can someone explain to me how they fight weird? What do? They're like, no, we do this and up and down when we move our characters on the board. I don't know. How can you fight weird? You don't like attack that person. What's going on here? But they're really cool though.
Rely on this to keep their species alive. They need to think about deception and the strangeness of what they do if they truly want to not be immediately murdered and slaughtered wholesale thanks to their entirely small population. However, I must say that it seems like their population is getting slightly better. These craft worlds hold millions upon millions of people. And as they continually, reproduce and have their craft worlds expand, losing a few people in battle, while hurts a lot, they aren't really losing what's extremely precious to them. It's not like every single death means the death of their species. It seems like they're kind of on the upturn a little bit. They're still a doomed race being sucked into 𝗦cie every time someone dies, but they are definitely doing a little bit better than they were before. Eldar are fast, cunning, and what they don't make up for in tankiness, they make up for in extremely advanced weaponry. They also call humans 𝗦cie, which is something I mentioned earlier.
𝗦cie.
That is a derogatory slur for humans in the Warhammer world. Why is it called 𝗦cie? Well, it's because you can't, in your game, call people monkeys. On the tabletop, exactly what I said. Not very tanky, generally pretty squishy, hit like trucks, and move
These are the tabletop characters? Whoa, look at how big these are in the back there. And these flying things. They're really cool. People are probably gonna hate me for this, but I'm not the biggest fan of like the yellow and blue paints. I feel like the artwork with like the earlier, it was cooler, you know? I don't know, let's see, like this one, for example, in the thumbnail there, was extremely cool with like the gray and red. And let's see, this one here as well, extremely cool, extremely cool. There's so much cool artwork. So why they're just like red and blue like this, I don't know. I'm sorry. Looks like IKEA.
5. Fast, hit hard, die fast. Exactly how it sounds. They've been good for a very long time too. We bring only death and leave only carrion. It is a message even a human can understand.
Ooh, rude. That was like shots fired, man. Holy shit. 𝗦cie. No, 𝗦kind? No, 𝗦cie. Whoa, rude.
Eldar. So, Drukhari.
Whoa.
Let's talk about the Dark Eldar.
Today's episode of How Fucked Up is Fucked Up.
That's how fucked up.
So those people
Wow.
I mentioned in the webway, in the super deranged cults and the depraved people of the Eldar, in the webway, they didn't quite get a hold onto them. 𝗦cie like has them, but it has them on like by the pinky finger. And they're slowly being consumed by 𝗦cie, but they found out they can stave her off by doing 𝗦cie things. The Dark Eldar are by far the worst, most horrifying, disgusting, depraved, and brutal race in all of Warhammer 40k. These are entirely a group of people whose full purpose to save their species from extinction, to go into planets, raid them, and take as many slaves as they possibly can to torture them for 1, 5, 10, 20, a million years, because that torture will keep them from dying. They look very BDSM style too. They definitely have a lot more spiky bits and they have a lot more of that kind of leathery black look to them. But let's say you are an upstanding Imperial citizen, living life on a regular planet. You get invaded by the Necrons. The Necrons will shoot you with a deatomizer, and you will be destroyed in a millisecond, and that's it.
This artwork is just next level. Look at this. It looks insane. And necromancers, basically. And they... What? That is just wild.
Not the worst way to go. You are invaded by Chaos Marines or something. You take a bolter shot to the head or a chain sword across your stomach and you get cut in half.
Yeah.
Painful,
They're
but
done.
not the worst. The orcs arrive. They beat you to death. Hurts, but, you know, whatever. Tyranids, they eat you alive.
Hurts, but whatever.
It's pretty rough.
What?
The Dark Eldar. The Dark Eldar. This is going to get a little graphic.
I'm getting scared here of what he's gonna say. This is gonna be gruesome.
You pray you die. You don't. You are instead taken as a human slave. Your life will be endless work and agony, 24/7. They will make sure you can't not die, as your pain satisfies them.
Whoa.
They will hook you up to all manner of torture devices. They will inject pain-based stimuli drugs directly into your nervous system.
Fuck.
They will slowly run razor blades across your skin. They will fillet you and pull out your teeth and your fingernails one by one. They will remove your appendages and your skin and wait for it to grow back so they can do it again. They will murder and torture and use the R word, it rhymes with grape, your entire family in front of you and do the exact same thing to them. You yourself will also be rhymes with grape anywhere and everywhere possible. And this will occur for 20 years until you are no longer satisfying to them. And then you will be contorted, crushed, and twisted into some form of trophy, a fleshy trophy, or a ring, or a couch, or a TV stand, or perhaps a wonderful hat, while you are, of course, still alive and breathing. And you will become a
What? What the fudge? This is insane. I was thinking yeah, this is gonna be insane. But this is a lot of creativity has gone into how we can torture humans. Holy moly! And I can see it in my brain, you know, how it would be to squish someone into a couch. It's probably possible, or squish multiple people or a really, really big person into a couch if you're have the technology that these people have. But it's just ugh, it's insane. And the graping, oh my god.
Owning fleshy trophy for eternity. And that is what happens when you are taken by the Dark Eldar. They are the most depraved, most horrifying race in all of 40k. They look the part, and they do it so they all don't die. They are literally forced to do this, because if they don't, 𝗦ci's grip will get harder, and they will have their souls pulled away. So long as they keep doing this, 𝗦ci's like, you're doing good, man. You're doing solid. You keep that shit up, you elf-eared bastards. That's the Dark Eldar. That's the Drukhari. They are horrible. On the tabletop, they're actually kind of like Eldar, but more extreme. They are even squishier.
This looks insanely cool. These ships that they have. Oh my god. Wow. Just the stories of how they are would make me a little bit ugh, whenever I played them probably. Because I feel it. But damn, they're cool.
Than the Eldar, but they hit generally even harder. Fast attacks, skirmishers, really quick, speedy, get around them, do a lot of damage, get away kind of stuff. That's most of the Dark Eldar. Look up the definition of grim dark in a dictionary. You'll find a picture of the Dark Eldar. And Sev from Republic Commando. A quote from Mr. Vecht. We are the lords of despair, masters of terror. Dread and agony are our meat and wine, and they are plentiful indeed.
Damn.
Dark Eldar. Let's talk about the Harlequins. Clowns.
What's the matter, Andy?
Harlequins? Does it mean Harley Quinn in the... Oh, what is that called again? Joker and stuff like that, the movie? Or does it mean these are actually Harlequins? Is that their names?
The Harlequins are a bizarre race of Eldar. They're demonic clown performers. They're a weird mix of Sander Cohen from BioShock and Jin from League of Legends, but in a more clown theme. They're
What? Is this a thing? Is this a thing? They're clowns?
Artists of death and perfecters of their craft. They do not belong to craft worlds or any of the weird 𝗦ci𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 people. They guard something called the Black Library, which is this giant tome of never-ending knowledge deep in the heart of the Eldar webway.
Wait. The clowns are sitting on all of the knowledge? Is that how... Is this real? Do I understand it correctly? They are basically defending the library? Or something? With vast knowledge? I feel like clowning and knowledge is not like... It's not like this goes well together, you know? Wow.
Started by their god named Kegorok, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is the laughing god, but it's the
laughing
Eldar's
god.
laughing god? And these are the Harlequin clowns. These are Eldar clowns, okay? So imagine the things that an Eldar, these depraved individuals, would find funny. And this is the god of that. It's a horror.
So it's not like our kind of fun. It's like their kind of fun. Their kind of fun is very fucked up, probably.
Clown. These are gods of horror for us normal people. For them, they're like, oh, it's so funny. They're all dying horribly. Honk, honk. They're very bizarre and difficult to describe. They've escaped the ruinous powers of 𝗦ci𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 somehow, but their main thing is guarding that Black Library. And the Harlequins just... They're demon clown performers. They're barely any models on the tabletop. They're good at melee. They're demon clowns. I'm not sure. I got a quote. It is too easy for an Eldar...
Even he is confused. This is wild.
...to embrace the obscene virtues of chaos, for 𝗦ci𝗰𝗍 is nothing more than a manifestation of the Eldar mind in its most wild and unconstrained form. Human morality is meaningless to the Eldar, and to the dark side of the Eldar mind, all life is to be expended at a whim. Cruelty and generosity are but the impulse of a moment. Beauty and sensuality are virtues that can be expressed in bloodshed just as easily as in song. To an unfettered Eldar mind, there is neither sanity nor madness, but merely a wave of perfect existence fulfilled by its own savage momentum. They're very strange. Harlequins, 𝗦ci𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀, Eldar, they are an anomaly that make humans seem completely easy to understand in comparison.
Yeah,
they range from...
I agree. This is just like... I feel like this is a race... Could we say race here? A faction? That is like... I would need to just like... I don't know, meditate on this or something. I need to just like take a lot of time to just like ingest it. I can't just like hear 10 minutes of it and then be like, I understand it. It's just too crazy, too like out there. It's multiple levels of like things going on here that I need to understand, or like not to just understand logically, but emotionally, you know? Do you understand what I mean?
Rekindling their civilization to horrifying murder and also clowns. They're all over the place, but honestly, they represent quite well and are rather interesting, especially with the whole 𝗦ci𝗰𝗍 murdering everyone bit. So, yeah,
that is kind of interesting.
Now, bugs.
What the fuck is that? Oh my god, now I said the word again, damn. But anyway, this looks wild. The tongue of that one, and the head, and the everything. They're bugs. Tyrannids.
Following me, Mom. They're following me. These the bugs.
It's the bugs.
The Tyrannids. Now, you want to talk something a little more fun, a little more simple than all this crazy Eldar shenanigans? Let's talk the Tyrannids. They're bugs. Do they look like Zerg? Hell yeah, they look like Zerg. You wanna know why they look like Zerg? Because they were actually supposed to be what Zerg were. Apparently StarCraft was supposed to be a 40k game in the beginning, hence why
Is this real? I goddamn love StarCraft. StarCraft, I've played it a lot, and I love it so much. I stopped playing it because I like to be competitive. It's a liability I have. But after like playing StarCraft multiplayer for a while, I realized the way to get like, or like the tippity top people, they're just like superhuman. So it's not in the cards for me. I'm just a normal human. So it was too daunting after I saw like the professional StarCraft players. I didn't need to become like the tippity top, but they just took away all of my belief in myself. You should check it out, guys. You should check that out. But back to this. StarCraft was supposed to be Warhammer. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. I love StarCraft. I love the theme. I love the campaigns or campaign and stuff like that. And the Zerg people, they are seems to be like overlapping here. It's very cool.
It looks so much like Eldar, Zerg, and the Imperium of Man.
Wow.
Like, kind of Space Marine-y. Those Marines, huh? They look a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. They look insanely alike. Oh my god, I thought it was more like an inspiration, but maybe it was like actually meant to be actual Warhammer.
Space Marine-y to me. Maybe. I don't know. You really fucked up on that one, Games Workshop, didn't ya? Tyranids are a giant infestation of unfathomable proportions. These are giant, extremely bio-advanced hive mind organisms that are basically all about absorbing as much biomass as they possibly can to evolve and mutate to be extreme.
Okay, so as I understand it, they are like they are eating like everything that is like living, basically, right? To evolve themselves. And all the tentacles. Oh my god.
Extremely potent and powerful and kill and eat anything in their path. They are probably the least.
Whoa, that was insanely cool. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. And also these are so StarCraft, man. The observers or whatever. Almost exactly the same. I feel like after this, I just need to play through StarCraft again. The campaign. Wow.
Evil faction in all of 40k because all they want to do is eat shit. They want to nom nom the entire galaxy. They hangry and we food. Also, this Tyranid hive mind has a presence in the warp.
And it's fascinating. Another thing that is insanely fascinating to think about when it comes to this. I love his legs, by the way. Really good legs. Look at these legs. It's fantastic legs. But anyway, like these are like bugs, right? So I'm just thinking about like bugs in the real world, and then they advance and advance and advance, and they get to a point where they have lasers, and they get to a point where they can cross to different like planets and stuff. They can do space travel. They can, right? Yeah, because I don't think they're just stuck on one place. They go to war probably, but it's just like they didn't necessarily get there by getting better technology. They got there by evolving their selves, probably. Some of them probably became spaceships. Am I right? Please tell me, guys. Please tell me. I would appreciate some answers here. I'm asking for a friend.
In fact, Tyranids in their own right have a massive presence in the warp. They have a thing called the shadow in the warp specifically, where when they are coming in to invade a planet, they have this weird ability to kind of cut off the warp on all the psychers on that planet. And how do you get help across the stars?
They have power over the warp or parts of the warp, the shadow. Wow.
You need the warp because you need that for interstellar travel.
Yeah.
So with people unable to call for help from the Tyranids, these are just easy pickings. And an entire giant Tyranid hive fleet comes out of orbit and just will massacre, absorbing all that biomass and turning them and all of their other Tyranids into even more advanced monsters. They come in so many varieties too, all based on what is important. Tiny little ripper swarms for scouting and having little dudes eat people up, to the Hormigons, Termagants, and Gene Stealers, all the way to
the Gene Stealers? Wow.
The Hive Guard and the Exocrines and the Swarm Lord, to Hive Tyrants and the giant battle fleets, and even something as crazy as the Hierophant Bio-Titan.
What? That is basically Godzilla X10. That looks so cool.
The Tyranids come in all forms and sizes depending on what they require. They are extremely good at anti-biological weaponry. There is no way you can plague them or blight them. They have extremely strong armor, carapaces and such. Tyranids are nigh perfect organisms and are pretty spooky when it comes down to how they handle all of their genetic material. Keep feeding them, they'll keep evolving. They keep on creating new horrifying organisms to spread across the galaxy. And you know what the most terrifying part of the Tyranids is? We might be surrounded. There have been like around 6 or 7 Tyranid hive fleets. Behemoth, Kronos, all these different kinds of hive fleets. And they've all arrived in the galaxy from different points. Different sections of the Milky Way galaxy have had different Tyranids come through. And that is horrifying. Because as far as we know, we could just be surrounded on all sides by Tyranids.
Wow, maybe they have the rest of the universe, you know? And they're just like, this last part, we're gonna take it. Wow.
The only reason you may not hear a whole lot about Tyranids is because it's a little bit hard to have a bunch of story off of one hive mind genocidal monsters. All these giant bugs swarming in, killing and eating everybody and evolving. Well, I mean, as cool as there are, there's some cool characters, the Swarm Lord, Old One-Eye. You can't really have a whole bunch of...
Okay, so the Swarm Lord Old One-Eye or something, that is a character. Like a character, an actual character. But it's very understandable though. It's like more difficult to make lore, or like, yeah, a lot of lore about like a hive mind that is just like going, just like feasting, and killing, feasting. But I guess it's like a lot of stories that could come out of like dealing with these bugs as like from the point of view of the other races and like factions and stuff like that.
Major character-based stories around them. As awesome as they are, they're simple. They want to eat you. They want to eat you and absorb your biomass. They are simple bugs. If you want something a little more complex, talk gene stealer cults.
I can have all the pot I want, I get around faster than walking, and wherever I need a seat, I can just sit on my balls.
Gene stealer cults are a special brand of Tyranid that can slowly...
Gene stealers, and they are bugs. Or they're like the bug faction.
Infect themselves into different kinds of society, and by infecting them they can rise up to where they all pray and believe in these regular humans, pray and believe into their Tyranid hive mind gods. And these brood lords and I think they're called patriarchs all can turn an entire world all based into gene stealers. And these are called gene stealer cults. An entire hive world of the Imperium can be turned into nothing but servants to the Tyranid masters just by infecting them and screwing with their genetic...
Whoa, so these were like basically humans before, but they got turned? Wow.
Code a little bit. They also have this...
Yeah, it's by turning, like changing the gene code? Wow.
Cool, like Mad Max look.
That is cool.
Which is really neat. They are definitely one of the bigger threats to the Imperium besides Chaos. I keep saying biggest threat to the Imperium.
Wow.
They're up there though, because you, dingus, stepped on a bug in middle school. Asshole. There is a cancer eating at the Imperium. With each decade, it advances deeper, leaving drained, dead worlds in its wake. This horror, this abomination, has thought and purpose that functions on an unimaginable galactic scale. And all we can do is to try to stop the swarms of bioengineered monsters it unleashes upon us by instinct. We have given the horror a name to salvage our fears. We call it the Tyranid race. But if it is aware of us, it must know us as nothing but prey.
Whoa.
They're cool. But are they as cool as the orcs?
Great segue there. Really good segue. But are they? Orcs. Of course, there has to be orcs. I'm looking forward to hearing like the backstory of these orcs. Because they're orcs in a lot of different like things. There's orcs in like... of course, I'm gonna butcher this. But there are orcs in like World of Warcraft. There's orcs in Warcraft. Lord of the Rings. Those orcs are very different. They're like gray and like more like slimy. But are the orcs in like modern stories, are they from here? They look cool though.
Every screen's gone red. That means I'm super fast!
Orcs, 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 orcs.
Cool.
I fucking love orcs. So, yes, the green monsters,
Hell
the
yeah.
green tide, the green skins. These orcs, they are in fact a race in 40k.
Cool.
The orcs are as exactly what you expect them. They have archaic weapons, they're big boys, they have axes, and they have got big old teeth, and they want to kill everything, and there are so many of them. The only reason they haven't taken over the entire galaxy is they can't stop murdering each other. Orcs are so cool.
For real?
Orcs don't have philosophy.
Oh, that pirate orc. Damn, that is really cool. And the bottom teeth are just like iron jaw. It's insanely cool.
Orcs don't have existential crisis. What matters is who's the biggest orc. You listen to that guy, because he the biggest orc. He big orc knows best. You win through the power of imagination.
Are they like, this might be like rude. People are gonna be like, oh, you're so rude, Ole. Screw you, Ole. But are they like very simple-minded? Are these like I don't mean to like bash on strong people, but are they just like a stereotypical like strong person, just like, oh, I lift heavy or something? I feel like how he like portray them right now, it seems like they aren't that intelligent, but they might be. There might be. There's a lot of intelligent, strong people. Okay, don't cancel me, or cancel me. Don't cancel me.
Of all the races I have battled throughout the galaxy, the orc is the hardest to comprehend. They wage war with machines that should not work, care little for strategic gains, and are just as likely to slaughter each other as the enemy. How does one battle an enemy that defies all logic? As an orc, you're enjoying life. You're enjoying the life you're given. Your whole life and job and purpose is to get up and beat each other to death because you can. The biggest orc is the man who understands everything. He is the boss. And orcs have this really weird, like, big, dumb, stereotype British accent. Which is just hilarious to me. Those are orcs. You fight. You like to fight. Your whole purpose is to fight. You wage war because you want to wage war. You got your boss over there, and you better listen to the boss, because if you don't listen to the boss will squish you and make you an example for the other orcs. And then you can't fight because orc dead. And orc dead can't fight because orc dead. Orcs. They scrap together machines out of parts that don't make any sense, and because they believe, they have the mental imagination that that machine will run, it'll run. If that machine's out of gas, you're driving that machine with your fellow orcs, and the biggest orc is behind the wheel, and you run out of gas, some orc behind you is like, oh, Zog, we're out of gas. And the big orc is like, no, we're not. I filled the fucking gas tank up earlier. And all the other orcs are like, oh yeah, you did do that. And then you turn the fucking mech back on, and it works again. Does it have gas?
What? They can just wish things into existence. That is so cool. That is really cool.
Probably not, but it works.
But it
the
works.
Power of imagination. They paint things red because it makes them think they goes faster. They paint things purple because it's the sneakiest color. You want to know why? You ever seen a purple orc? Didn't fucking think so. Orcs are also like...
That is so good. It's sneaky because you've never seen a purple orc. That is so good. The orcs are the trolls. They're so funny. Holy shit. They're really cool though. It's just like a more simpler way of life, you know? I feel like the one chaos god that is like very straightforward must be like the orc chaos god or something. I don't know. It's so cool.
Ancient as hell. They're back in the Eldari time frame. But back then they were called Krorks, and they were much larger and scarier and far more intelligent. Now they're just orcs, and they're big, dumb, and they smack things. But they're pretty spooky. They're not very well armored, but they hit really hard. And it's called the Green Tide because there are so many orcs.
Wow.
There are about as many orcs as there are Tyranids. Maybe more. Who knows? But they keep on...
The bugs? Holy shit. Wow.
You know, murdering each other, so it's not too bad of an issue.
Yeah, it's always
orcs are
like...
entirely comic relief. Their stuff is slapped together. That makes no sense. Their vehicles don't work the way they're supposed to, but they work because they think it works, because they imagine that it works. Orcs care only about who is the biggest orc, and they will follow the biggest orc. And then if they want to be the biggest orc, they'll challenge the biggest orc. And then when they go and they issue a WH is just war in orc. They murder everybody and everything in this giant tide of green orcs who are just excited to be hitting something. They don't care that they're hitting Eldar or the Imperium or Tau or anyone.
They're just like, I just want to hit something. Holy shit, it's just so straightforward. I appreciate that so much.
They're just so they get to beat shit up.
Wow.
That's orcs. And on the tabletop, they are a total coin flip, and they're really fun. Cool. I have never met a salty orc player. I have never met someone who plays orcs and is ever just a bad guy or that guy. Orc players have this kind of fun to them because when you play them, you are completely submitting yourself to RNG. So here's the thing. Guardsmen, Imperial Guardsmen, when they shoot, they roll a dice, and on a 4 up, they'll hit their target. They have a 50% chance. Space Marines, pretty good. They hit on a 3 or higher because they're well trained. Adeptus Custodians, they hit on 2s because they're just super well trained. Orcs, they hit on a 5 or higher. But if they
5 or higher, I love it. The chance is so slim. But yeah, when I hit hard, probably.
They roll a 6, they get to make another shot with anything. From the dinkiest pistol to the biggest rocket launcher. It doesn't matter. Half of their stuff will blow up on a whim. One of their medics, if you roll a 1 to heal someone, you fuck up your surgery and you just kill an orc. They're so wacky and silly. But the thing is if you roll well, you roll high, and you keep rolling high, you are going to crush people.
Wow.
And if you don't,
I did not know there was a dice involved in the game yet, so that is interesting. I have it on my list to check out like how to play the game, but I didn't know. I didn't know at all. It could have been like just turn-based, just like now it's my turn, now it's your turn, now it's my turn, and you just move and stuff like that. You choose which character, but I don't know. But there is a dice involved. Interesting.
You lose. I mean, that's what you get when you play orcs. That's what happens when you play orc. It's a coin flip, which is why you can't be a salty bitch when you play orcs.
Yeah.
Because things won't go your way. It's just the roll of the dice. You're playing a dice game. But if you're going to have fun and you want to be stupid and you want to be silly.
This might be my race, guys. I am stupid and fun, okay? Maybe I'm selling myself a little bit too high here. But I feel like I would enjoy the silliness a lot. I like silly things. Wow.
You're gonna play some damn orcs. But on the opposite side of the fun part of this, let's talk about the Necrons.
Necrons. They're probably also some of my favorites. It's cool
The
theme.
Necrons are spooky, scary skeletons and very grimdark again.
Wow.
They have a much more fleshed out lore than before. Back in the day, they were just undead Egyptian space terminators, and they still look that way, but now they actually have a story. So way back in the day, you had the Necron tier. Kind of see a theme here: Eldari, Eldar, Krork, Orc, Necron, Necron tier. So Necron tier were this race of generally kind of shitty people. Not because they were personally shitty, but because their lives were awful. They were ill-fated to a horrible existence of like radiation and a terrible planet they lived on, and everything just really sucked. Being a Necron tier was just really depressing. They really were looking for immortality. They were extremely reliant on the hope that they would eventually find the key to living forever and just stave off this horrible nature that they were thrust upon them, and therefore they could become the most dominant race in the...
Very sad though. Very sad story for them. They didn't get great cards, but it formed them and they become like unique. So that is good.
Galaxy. And they found this group. They're called the Old Ones. Imagine them kind of like the Forerunners in Halo or the Xel'Naga in StarCraft, right? These Old Ones were these strong, pretty much omnipotent beings. And they, of course, knew the key to immortality. So the Necrons went to them and said, please,
of course,
show us your ways. And the Old Ones said, piss off. Not really.
Trolls.
They were a lot more humble about it, but they did not want to share their secret of immortality with the Necrons. The Necrons, of course, took this very well and waged war with them, kind of under this united banner.
No. That is so cool.
Necron different dynasties didn't really like each other, but under this one man, the Silent King, he thought the best way to...
That is a cool name, the Silent King. Do you think he didn't speak? That he just like waved or whatever? Just like kill that or something? Wow. And I love his legs. Holy shit, they're so slim. It's so long. That is so funny. Skeleton legs.
Unite his race was to do this giant war with the Old Ones out of spite for them keeping the secret of immortality to them. This was known as the War in Heaven, and this is actually like a multi-stage war. Because during this war in heaven, they discovered the star gods, a whole new race of people known as the Catan.
Wow.
These star gods were also very much like Old Ones, almost omnipotent beings, and they too had the key to immortality. And so the Necrons went to them and said, hey, can you help us fight off the Old Ones? Can you help us kill these Old Ones, you, the Catan? And the Catan said yes. And in fact, we can help provide you with the immortality you so desperately seek. So the Silent King of the Necrons decided to make a pact with the Catan to allow them to accept this generous gift of immortality upon them. But this, of course, had been a horrendous trap, and the Necrons were dragged in chains to this biotransference where their flesh was stripped from them, replaced with nothing but a metal hollow shell, as their souls were ripped from their body and fed to the Catan. And the Catan fattened up. They got chonk on the souls of the Necrons. As this was their plan all along, they consumed the flesh and souls of the Necron tier and turned them all into unwilling robotic slaves just to serve their will. And then with their new...
What? Holy shit. So they just became the army, basically. Wow. What an epic turn. What an epic turn.
New-founded Necron army, they pointed their guns at the Old Ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these Old Ones. The Old Ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orcs, to try to fight off the horrifying...
Huh? They created the Orcs and the Eldari? I need to replay that. Is that real? For real?
The Old Ones, and the Catan continued their domination of the stars and their genocide, complete and full genocide of these Old Ones. The Old Ones did their best to stave it off. They even created other races, the Eldari and the Orcs, to try...
They did! They did create the other... What?
To fight off the horrifying Necron army and the Catan above them.
But the Orcs and the Eldar, they're still here, right? But the Old Ones are gone? Maybe the Orcs were just like, oh, Orc must kill something else. I don't want to listen to the creator anymore. And the Eldar went on their own path, and they got too like, they liked pleasure a little bit too much, and it became a thing. So they forgot to watch over the Old Ones, maybe.
But there was absolutely no possible chance for them. And the Old Ones were absolutely extinguished across the galaxy. Their entire race completely removed. Full-on 100% genocide. However, during all this, the Catan, so just infatuated with their victory, started fighting each other for fun, for sport, and for small differences. Doesn't matter. The Catan, with these overpowered people, they're going to eventually hit each other at some point. And as they began just menially fighting each other, the Eldari and the Orcs actually started pushing on the Catan's borders a little bit, giving them a little bit of a run for their money. And as this continued, this is when the Silent King, who retained his consciousness, decided to leap into action and start a full-scale revolt against their Catan master.
But could he control the people that were just empty shells? Wow, asking for a friend. He must have. He can't do the war alone. But I feel like there's an epic story behind this where he managed to keep his like soul or whatever Whoa.
Masters. And this revolt was bloody as the entire Necron army was surged off to destroy these star gods. They were able to, just after suffering horrendous losses, were able to turn the tide of the war. And they took these Catan and they blasted them. Because as these star gods are unkillable, they were able to break them into thousands of shards and entrap them in giant stasis vaults to now actually be slaves to the Necrons. And with the Necrons...
That is fudged up. That is wild.
Having the entirety of their old gods enslaved to them, they realized that soon their race was about to be attacked by the overcoming new races, the Eldari and the Krorks. And so what they did is they retreated into giant stasis tombs in order to preserve their energy and their strength for when one day they would be reawakened and they would be able to rule the galaxy that was rightfully theirs. And then some dingus Adeptus Mechanicus guy diddled with a green console, and now the Necrons are back and they see all these primitive races on their lawns and they think,
whoa, somebody were like meddling with their key or the open button. Damn.
Get the fuck off of it. The Necrons are back, super advanced, and they are here to reclaim the galaxy that they so rightfully believe is theirs. Now, on tabletop, they're a lot like that. Tons of undead Egyptian skeleton robots that when they die, they just get right back up because they keep on reanimating. Hard to kill, tons of crazy stuff. You can use the Catan themselves as units to fight with. It's pretty cool. The Necrons are one of the three major events in 40k. The Horus Heresy, the Fall of the Eldar, and the Awakening of the Necrons are all pretty substantial events. And the Necrons themselves are pretty dang cool as well. Here's a good quote from a wonderful Dawn of War game. Lucky creatures, as long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs I was remade. Here my brethren slumbered for eons while the living grew like weed. My Lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Kronos will be a tomb world once more.
I feel like they're very like high on their horse here. They're like, nah, we got the secret now, how to live forever. So you guys, you're just like victims of life. Wow.
Necrons are also pretty smug. Trazen the Infinite especially, a little dickhead. But speaking of dickheads, last race, let's talk the Tau.
Speaking of dickheads, and this is like dickheads. Wow.
Tau.
We made a fucking walkie.
Tau.
The exact formation of the Tau Empire is not entirely understood.
This is basically like Templars. No, is it No. Templars is something else. No, I don't know.
However, a long time ago, many thousands of years ago, in the 40k world that is, some Imperial navigation vessels were going around through different areas, and they saw a primitive race.
This looks so much like the one in StarCraft though. What are they called again? I don't remember, but there's like the aliens there, right?
Blue people smacking each other with sticks and stones. They thought, dumb Xenos race, who gives a shit, and they bailed. Then this giant warp storm.
What is going on with the legs here? Why does he have these legs now?
Storm occurred right in that major area, unable to be breached. Then, once that warp storm 6,000 years later subsided, hello, those little sticks. Well, they decided to actually have no war of any kind and all just unite together under one flag of the Tau Empire. And now they have gigantic starships and Gundam robots and lasers and railguns and mechs, and they are here to ruin your day for the greater good. That is generally the Tau Empire. They have this kind of feeling of this homogenous group.
Goosebumps on my body again. I get that so much. Going through this.
All species can go underneath the banner of the greater good. The greater good is their idea of the fundamental increase and help of all. In fact, they are most likely the most like the Covenant in Halo, where they have the overarching prophets, being the ethereals, who are actually kind of dicks and like to pull at strings a little bit, but then you have all these different races directly underneath them, and they all work together in this big group as this large, foreboding race that tries to spread their weirdly pseudo-religious influence across the galaxy. The alien is not intrinsically evil. Do not hate him. Pity him, his ignorance. Seek to understand his differences and equate him with his inadequacies. Only then will he accept his place in the greater good. That is generally the Tau. And if you're kind of wondering like what their mainly big shtick is, well, they're all about big robots and mechs. They have laser rifles and rail guns. They got giant mechs with tons of missile pods.
This is insanely cool. Look at the guns on his back. That is next level.
Pods and heavy rail rifles and rail guns and burst cannons and ion accelerators and void shields and all this stuff. And that is generally what the Tau's all about. But you're probably thinking, 𝗦cie, this doesn't sound that evil.
True, it doesn't sound super evil. What is up with that? Are these the good guys? Now he's probably gonna say, no, they're not the good guys. They're actually super evil.
This doesn't sound very grim, dark Warhammer. And you'd be right. The Tau Empire really don't have that much of a horrifying, grim, dark style like everybody else. They're much more younger, new age thing. In fact, they're probably a lot less evil and a lot even better than they are now back in the day, because they liked having like that good guy faction. But a lot of us who really like the dark, depressing style of Warhammer didn't really like it that much. So see, the Tau get a lot of hate, and a lot of that hate isn't necessarily unjustified. It's mainly from a tabletop perspective, but as you can see from all the visuals I've shown you recently, they don't really fit in the 40k universe very.
Yeah, I felt that as well. It's like going through all of these things here now. It's been like gruesome, horrible, gruesome, horrific, ugh. Like so many of these emotions, and it's so like, it's very difficult to explain, but it's like great and awful at the same time. You get like drawn into the awfulness a lot, and these seemed like good guys. And I haven't heard like a twist yet, but at the same time, it's like it's bringing diversity into the universe, where it's like another thing that we have it all, it seems like.
Very well. They lack that super dark, dramatic, kind of high gothic level the Imperium has.
Yeah.
They don't have the weird kind of like grungy stuff that Chaos or say the Orcs do. And the Necrons and the Eldar have their own specific style as well. The Tau really do look like something out of Gundam. And while it isn't necessarily a bad thing, it does definitely not fit too well. There's that. There's also the tabletop problem. In tabletop, Tau are horrible at melee combat, but exceptionally good at ranged combat. So they blast everyone from really, really far away, and they have a million rules to make it so that it's nearly impossible for you to get into melee combat. So it basically just forces you to bottleneck the game into one specific gameplay style, which is gun to gun. And if you're doing gun to gun, they're going to win every time, because they're the Tau, and the Tau are really damn good at shooting. So it's one of those things that make the Tau generally rather hated, and a lot of different reasons for that, both from style and such. But
sad.
This is actually one of the things I wanted to end this video with, is that...
It's gonna end on this note. Please don't.
The Tau, while they have their issues, you should not be discouraged from playing them. I'll make plenty of 𝗦cie𝗰𝗶𝗹𝘀 jokes, of course I will, but it's all generally in good fun. Anyone who legitimately doesn't want you to play a faction is an idiot, and you shouldn't be giving them the time of day. You pick what you think is cool and what you like.
You do you. You do you. I think that is super important. I had a comment on the previous video. I think it was the previous video, or it was someone. No, it was the previous video, and about like me just kind of going into this, just do whatever you feel like doing, because I was feeling like I needed to play by the Warhammer rules, like everything needed to be perfect. That is like the how I like normally feel about things, that I don't want to mess with things. I don't want to be like called out for, oh, you're doing this wrong or doing this wrong. I don't know. I just don't really like that. So I thought, if I buy the characters, I need to also play the tabletop game. But I I think I do want to like collect, but not necessarily play the game yet. Maybe in the future, but we'll see. We'll see. It's just so cool. But I think my point here is that you should do what feels right to you. Don't listen too much on the to the big group of people saying things, you know?
In Warhammer, especially now, factions get better and they get worse. They grow and then they fall.
Could someone explain to me, asking for a friend, I mean, how he has mentioned, like, now they're like this, or before they were like this. Earlier, I thought it was like in the lore, or like, no, yeah, in like, that it was in history from like year 0 to year 40,000 or like 60,000 or something, and like they've gone through like phases. But now I get this feeling of that there is like almost like seasons in a game where okay, now it's a new season, so now these characters has been like downgraded a little bit, these character has been upgraded. What does this mean? Is it because they're added new lore to Warhammer? Is there constantly added new lore to it, and then the different like factions and characters and stuff like that change with the lore? Or is it some like big corporation that is sitting on top of this and that are like changing the stats of different characters from time to time just to like keep it interesting? What is the thing? Can someone explain that to a friend of me?
You should only be playing what you think is cool. You like the look, you like the models. If you're talking tabletop, that is what you should be going for every time, is what you think is badass, because things...
Or is it just a new tabletop game coming out and that changes the things? But anyway, yeah. Play whatever you want to play.
Things change all the time, but the universe of Warhammer has so much going for it. Every faction has something interesting, every character has a story, and there's a million stories to be told. The universe is vast and exciting, and while it is dark, depressing, and horrible, that is the damn charm. And out of everything I've told you in these 2 videos, is anything you can take away, is the reason why so many of us are so into this series and why we like it
makes
so much.
So much sense.
Because with so much variety, such an expansive universe, and so much that can be done, you can find yourself having a pretty great time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it has been informative to you. If you'd like to see more of me, 𝗦cie, do have twitch.tv/𝗦cie for my streams. You have my merchandise site, in which I was wearing all of my merch, but underneath this, because I had to wear this so it wasn't black or white for the green screen, which is a little unfortunate, but it's fine. If you'd like to see merch, it is in the description. Also, if you'd like to support me on my Patreon page at patreon.com/𝗦cie for more videos like this, then that would also be wonderful.
Legend.
So Twitch, merch, Patreon, anything if you want to support, that would be fantastic. I'd appreciate it. If not, I'm just stoked you got all the way to the end of the video, and that is enough for me.
Wow.
So we're going to be having some more content like this out in the future. Thank you so much for sticking around this long and being with me through this pretty rough time. That's, I think, all I got. Also, before I go, let me leave you with my favorite Warhammer quote.
Ooh.
He who scoffs at the power of the lasgun has never ran through a field of 1,000 of them.
Ooh.
Bye-bye.
Good one. Good, 𝗦cie. Wow. Thank you so much, 𝗦cie, for making this video. And I am so happy that I got to react to it. I'm sorry that my hair is getting wackier and wackier, but it just is what it is. I'm just in a very happy place right now. This has been fantastic to react to. And thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate it a lot. And also, thank you so much if you do like a thumbs up, a subscribe, comment, something like that. I'm trying to answer or to like comment on all of the comments, because I appreciate you guys so much. And it's so interesting to hear what you guys are saying. If you want to like hang out even more, then I would recommend checking out my Discord, that I mentioned earlier in the video, or my Twitch channel, because I stream pretty much every weekday. I stream on Twitch, and we play different games. Now lately, it's mostly Factorio, but I'm thinking maybe it's gonna be some Warhammer in the future. I really want to get through some Warhammer games. Yeah, I think that is it. I hope you're gonna have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I love you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.